dear friends, and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday. Today we're going to paint these little flowers that are some kind of an imaginary bunch of flowers that I drew. I decided to draw them and try practicing painting a wet-on-wet background first, letting that dry, and then painting them from the pencil sketch that I did. I have been trying to practice painting more loosely and just intuitively, but I decided with this particular one I wanted to actually get some flowers that looked a certain way, and so I decided to sketch them in. And what I'm doing first now is using my kneaded eraser just to remove some of that pencil, as once you use watercolor over the pencil, you can no longer erase it. So I want to get it as light as I can so that I can actually still see the pencil line underneath, but still be able to draw. I am using my little Arteza watercolor sketchbook. I do find this little watercolor sketchbook perhaps just a bit too small, so I drew this little flower on the diagonal, and I'm going to be using, this is quite a large filbert brush, just removing some of the rubbings quickly. This is quite a large filbert brush, and I'm just putting a coat of clean water down on the paper first, and that's how we'll do the wet-on-wet background. I'm going to be doing one of these sort of backgrounds in a Hannah Carlson coloring book again one of these days soon, and let me know in the comments if when you watch the Watercolor Wednesdays, if you're just interested in watercolor and I should rather do it on one of my coloring days, or whether I should include it in a Watercolor Wednesday. I'd be interested in your opinion, and I'm going to be thinking about it. It won't be for a week or two, but I'm quite keen to do that. I've done it once before. It's a bit of a mission, but it is doable, and interestingly enough, the Hannah Carlson and therefore I presume the Maria Troller paper actually stands up to it quite well. On the left you can see some slightly strange leaves that I was doing. So I have a mix of various greens in my palette, and I'm just mixing them up and using them up on the background. I just want it to be a misty background to paint on top of, so that it's not just stark white paper. And I love the wet on wet for getting that kind of just a very, very free sort of background look. So I can't actually tell you what color this is because it is a mix of so many different colors. I apologize for my hair getting in the way every now and then as I'm trying to get closer. This is now Daniel Smith Cascade Green that I'm using. I had sprayed it with a little bit of water, and I'm just dropping little bits in here and there just to give more interest to the background. You can see how it spreads very nicely. Now I'm rinsing my brush and drying it on a paper towel and just spreading that a little bit because it's not going quite as much as I wanted to. I think I may have too much water on the paper, but I just want it to be very, very free. This to sort of give the image of being plant life or something growing around these flowers. So now I'm going to have to leave this to dry, and then I will be back to start the flower. Well, now this background is dried, and I'm going to be using my Daniel Smith palette to be painting the flower. I'm quite keen to use the wisteria and the lavender colors, and I may use as well the green, which is called Serpentine Genuine, and there's Jadeite Genuine. So I'm quite keen to use those colors, and we'll get going with painting of the flower, I just need to spray them with a little bit of water first. So now I'm just mixing some of the Serpentine Genuine into what was left of the other green to use on the leaves. I like this color, and it sort of separates and gets a little bit of a brown color into it as it separates once it's drying, and I really enjoy that. Okay, now we're ready to go. I am quite happy with how the background has turned out. So now I'm using a round brush. This is, I think, a size 7. I'm not quite sure, must be quite honest. It's a Craftimo round brush. And I'm painting this almost as if I'm just colouring it in, because I'm just following the lines of my pencil drawings. I don't have much experience painting like this, but I wanted to give it a try. I actually absolutely love this paint. I don't know if you can see how it sort of separates, granulates, and has both the kind of the brown as well as the green, and I just think it's a really fabulous color for leaves, which often don't look just one color. So I think it's a really nice color. I'm just rinsing my brush and painting them, and I think I'll speed the leaf. I think I will speed the leaf painting up a little bit and put on some music for you while I do this. So the leaves and the stem are painted, and you can see it gives a really nice color. I like it. It needs a bit of a point and some darkening in the center, and maybe some even kind of almost outlining, but I need for that to dry first, and I'm going to start on the flowers now. And to do that, I'm going to use this Daniel Smith palette again, and I'm going to be starting with this really beautiful lavender color. I think it's so pretty. It's quite an opaque color. Both of the two colors that I like, the Wisteria Glycine and the lavender, both seem to be fairly opaque, and I just need to mix them first. I always put some of the color onto a palette of some sort before using it, so that I can really get some nicely onto my brush. I'm using this Black Velvet Silver brush now, size 6, to do these little flowers. I like it because it's got a very, very fine point, and so I feel like I can get these little petals. Of course, I had not thought about the fact that all of the petals are going to bleed into each other, so I need to do this in a few stages, doing some and then leaving them to dry and then doing some others. And that is always the thing, because wet bleeds into wet. So I'm going to work my way around this, having fun, and I'm going to put some more music on for you to enjoy while I do this. I think I'll do this faster again as well. I'm going to speed it up, but as I go, you'll see that I go up and down on the flower to use little petals that aren't too close to each other, so that I don't get too much mushing into each other and making a great big mess.
We were made for each other, to hold on to. I was carved out of redwood beneath your moon. I was birthed in the mountains under the I was birthed in the mountain under the sun. Something's changed, you can't see my face in the crowd no more. Something's changed, you can't see my face in the crowd no more. Something's changed, you can't see my face in the crowd no more.
So now I'm going in with this Cascade Green, the Daniel Smith Cascade Green again. I just want to form a kind of a center point to that group of leaves, and then I'm going to paint in some very fine details of leaf veins and that. I'm using quite a thick mixture of the paint, and I'm trying to make the veins have a curve to give a bit of shape and movement to these leaves so that they don't look too stiff. I feel that my plant looks a bit odd, but it is what it is, and I'm sharing my journey of learning with you, and maybe 4 years from now I'll be doing great work and we can all look back and have a laugh. But I think we're all on this journey, and some of us are further along it than others. I've I go through moments where I'm quite embarrassed about what I do and what I share, and then I go back to my early days of singing and I think of my pupils and I say to them with the singing as well, it's all a journey and one really does have to enjoy that journey. And I am where I am with my painting. I hope that what I share can bring you some enjoyment, even if it's just to think that you're very much better than I am, which is all great. Or if you're even more of a beginner than I am, maybe it will give you a little bit of confidence. I think these leaves that I did at the bottom are a bit strange and weird, and I had doubts about even sharing this painting again, and then I thought, no, I'm going to do it. There's part of it that I really like and parts of it that don't work, but I'm sharing it as it is. So I'm just adding a bit of more of the veining, and then I'm going to put a center to the flowers and move from there. I'm using a core quinacridone gold for the center of these flowers. These are very imaginary flowers, so they don't have to be realistic. And I love this quinacridone gold. It's such a rich, vibrant color. I've added in quite a lot of kind of falling petals all around here to just try and add something to the page because it's not quite working, but I've decided it is what it is, and I'm going to zoom in on the flower parts, and I think they look pretty. I think it's the mix of the leaves and the flowers and the size of the page that don't quite work together. Let me know what you think. I'd love to have your feedback on yet another not entirely successful painting, but one that I enjoyed doing. Thanks so much for joining me, and bye-bye now.